Cavalier faithful, welcome back on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. It's your Cavs encapsulated crew. My name is Jeffrey. Justin is next to me, and Logan is down below. Just three guys being dudes talking Cavs. And per the usual for this season, there is a lot to talk about. Another 15-game winning streak for the Wine and Gold. Absolutely epic. These games in particular, gentlemen, I mean, let me give you a quick breakdown and let me remind the audience out there. So the Hornets game, trailing down 9 with 5:41 remaining, end up winning by 1. Okay, no worries. You know, you're on a 13-game win streak. You go into Milwaukee for your 14th straight win on the road against the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Not a pushover of a squad. They just added some new pieces. They're hyped for the second half of the season. Kuzma, whoever it may be, whatever. 112 to 100-point victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. And then the most recent game, the 109-104 victory against the Nets. Totally outplay them in the second half. You're down 18 points in the third quarter, and then after that, it's all Cavaliers, specifically in the fourth quarter, the original big three. Garland with 30, Allen with 23, Mobley with 21. I'm going to open up to the floor. Justin, just talk about the team. 15 straight once again.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it before that there's not much to talk about with them from game to game right now because
they're just so good.
You're kind of funny on Twitter because you continue to just ride with the Cavs, and of course on here last week with the predictions, you just continue to ride with the Cavs until you see that something fails with them right now. And of course, 15-game winning streak, not much is failing because even when guys are not playing very good from quarters 1 through 3, you know, there's always that fourth quarter that's got to be played, and some players are currently very, very good in the clutch in the fourth quarter. So, you know, Cavs are able to survive without Donovan Mitchell. The guys are able to survive without Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen on any given night. Like, that's the problem with this team. They're just really good no matter who's out. Ty Jerome, you know, dude who's been on fire and everything for this team. And you get CPJ knocking down a half quarter and just absolutely lighting up the home crowd and everything. So again, it's it's one of those things where like it's tough to I'm trying to look at home stats, away stats to look at the playoffs against the other team that just clinched the Thunder to see how that team does against the home and away, because potentially you're going to see a 1v1 in the finals this year. Not going to put that out there, but I think that's very likely. So, again, it's tough to talk about them. I've enjoyed watching them, but outside of that, all good stuff.
Logan, I'm going to give you maybe an impossible question, but I think you'll be able to answer. Be able to answer better than anyone else. What do you think is more important for this team having a deep playoff run? Would you say it's the depth, like basically 1 through 10, 1 through 12, being able to get the job done on any given night? Or is it what we've kind of seen in these last 3 games as far as the resiliency and how quickly we could erase a deficit, regardless of the number almost?
Resiliency. I'll tell you why. And actually, it still goes on the point that I was thinking about before you asked me that question. I don't know how a couple of our old videos came onto my feed, and I looked at them because they were back in the season 2021, 2022, where we went to the play-in against the Hawks. And beginning of the year, we were playing the Lakers, and it was a game where the Cavaliers were up like 10, 12 points. And we said, like, there was times in that game where Mobley and Garland together looked unstoppable. They looked quicker, faster than everybody else, but they didn't close. And at that time, we all said, that's all right. Like veteran teams, we're like, the Lakers had LeBron and Carmelo Anthony. They were closing us out. Veterans do that. That's what teams who have been there, that's what they do. That's who we are now. It's kind of fun now. You flash forward, and I'd even say, or fast forward, I would even say, you go back last year, 2 years for sure. 2 years ago, we kind of sat there and we're like, this team seems to sputter in the second half, not only in the second half of games, but in the whole season.
Yep.
But I think that's where we've gotten to now, right? We are that veteran team that's been there to an extent. Obviously, playoff success. I still think we're definitely due for a deep, deep run. And I screwed deep run in the East. I mean, this team can go to the finals and win the whole damn thing this year. There's no doubt about it. But that's what this team has become now. We're a resilient group. Like you said, the last time I was worried about a Cavs game, I couldn't tell you. If you look at the last 4 seasons against Boston, what do I got? What do I text you guys? Death, taxes, and comeback wins versus the Boston Celtics. That seems to be a thing they do all the time. That seems to be a thing they do all the time against any team in the NBA this year. A sign of a good team is a team that can close. And this team closes better than, dare I say, any Cavaliers team I've watched in my lifetime. That might sound a little crazy, but I think about those LeBron days, and I think about the early Kyrie days. And if you want to go as far back as whatever, obviously I'm not an old head per se. I know of the names. I've watched Doherty, I've watched Price, I've watched highlights of those teams. But as far as a team that simply, like, I have never been nervous about like losing, being down 15 plus in probably well over 2-3 months now. It's this Cavalier team. They're very, very special.
Yeah, I think we hear a lot about the people talk, the leap. What leap is this player going to have? What leap is Mobley, Darius, Jared Allen going to have this year? I think what we've all missed and what has happened this year has been just the organization as a whole, the reputation leap of young, really has a lot of potential to, all right, this team is known and proven to be able to win basketball games. That's the big leap for me, is that we went from, the unrealized potential, and it's finally made itself, come into fruition and made itself at home this year. And it's really just culminated into a crazy season, and it reflects in the standings. 55-10, you got 8.5 game lead against Boston Celtics. I believe our magic number to clinch the 1 seed is 9.
Wild.
So that's I'm gonna put a guarantee that happens before the end of the month.
What did we all say win wise beginning of the year? I can't remember if I was like in the 50 or 54.
They're already past what we all said.
Past all our highest expectation. Maybe Justin said 56 wins. I kind of feel like he did. But
I think I said there were going to be injuries this year.
Oh, that's right. We all kind of said health is, and I will say that is something the Cavaliers have had on their side for the most part this year.
Who had the rank? But who did? Now this is the question: where did we have them in the standings? Because I thought
had
Logan
had
it
3, I think 3 or 4.
We didn't have him at 1. I could tell you that.
Someone had him at 2. Who had him at 2?
I think I said Boston, New York, and Philly are better than us this year going into the season.
I said they were going to be the 5th seed, so I was completely wrong.
I'm going to have to go back and look at this.
I got to go watch that video. I don't have us where we were in the standings, but our most win total projection from us was 51, which I think was Logan.
I don't think that was me. I think I had this.
Justin wasn't higher than me?
I don't think so. Nope. I think I have Justin at 47 and 36.
Yeah.
And then I said we were going to be 43 and 39. I was king regression,
You said 43 and 39.
Yep, like 5th seed, which was only a couple of wins better. Only a couple of wins, like same record we had, similar to the record we had last year, I think.
Last year we had 40. No, maybe it was 40. We were 47-35, I think, last year. 48.
Very similar. So they've proven us all wrong. Absolutely amazing. Love it. I'm just going to do it. I know that, don't talk about the regular season, blah, blah. Don't jinx anything. I'm just going to do it because I want to talk about it. You got the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, obviously, and then you have the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. This team only has 10 losses, guys. This team is, winning out, which would be an absolutely amazing feat. 65. What are we looking at? 13 more games? Nope, can't do math. 17 more games. You'd have to go on a 32-game winning streak to win out. I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, but this team could lose 2 more games and still have the 3rd best regular season record of all time. With the 71-72 Lakers being 69-13. And if you look at this screenshot here, gentlemen, obviously we are very well aware of what happened at the top spot, but everybody 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th best records of all time.
Yeah.
won the NBA championship. So that's just something that, we got to start talking about. There's only a handful of games left. I'm very curious going back to this to see how this shapes up here at the bottom. I know we're going to talk about, predictions for who we're going to face and, what the series is going to look like. It's looking like anywhere between the Pistons all the way, maybe even down to the Bulls at this current point. There is some separation here. The Pistons are a little bit ahead, but what, outside of the regular season, is there, it's us and the Celtics. Is anybody else reading it any other way, not to be arrogant, or is there a team on this list that you're looking at, you're like, sleeper team in the East? Logan, you have a good gauge on this usually. Who's your sleeper team in the East?
Oh, gosh.
Cavs related. If you were like, if we see them in a series, I could see it going 6 games. Not to get too confident, not to get too pompous, but I'm just curious.
I don't fear I'll say who I don't really fear, I guess, first. I don't really fear the Bucks. I think it's Giannis right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, Damian Lillard is a ball player and he's there, but I just talking playoff right now, like who I fear, who I see, I guess, like it's Giannis and Lillard. Indiana, truly, for being honest, a pretty disappointing season for them, a team that reached Eastern Conference Finals last year.
True.
But a team that has played us well in the last couple of seasons. I'm not really fearing them. Detroit, I think, could make a fun series. Don't get me wrong. I think we're going to see competitive ball games with Detroit. Atlanta, another team. Like I'd say the only thing that scares me about the Miami Heat is Miami. I kid you not.
It's playing down there.
Team. It's playing in Miami. It's Boston, and I still stand by it, guys. I don't want to say I fear the New York Knicks, but I do think the New York Knicks will push us, especially with them just getting Mitchell Robinson back for the first time this season. That is a giant piece of their defense, a defense that has fallen from, one of the better defenses in the NBA to now middle of the pack, even bottom half of the league. And it comes down to defense, right? At the end of the day, this is what I'll say. Do you remember when the Isaiah Thomas Boston Celtics, they got the number 1 seed? They looked fantastic. And the Cavaliers just kind of cruised in with the 2 seed. I do think the roles have reversed this year, where Boston's kind of like have the 1st seed. I could care less. Yep. Boston still very much, I definitely fear. 1, they're defending NBA champions. 2, of the last 6 years, they've run the Eastern Conference as far as getting to that point in the Eastern Conference Finals. They have been to that stage. That is the only team in the East that truly I'm like, we could be 10 games better than Boston. I don't think that is a good indicator of what we would see in that series. I think that's the series that truly could go either way, and it might not go ours. So, in the Eastern Conference, it's obviously Boston. I definitely say New York will give us a run for our money, but outside of that, I feel confident. I'm not saying we'll obliterate this team, or this team doesn't stand a chance. I'm just saying, as far as who I personally fear, it is the 2 seeds behind the Cavaliers and then everybody else.
Yeah, Boston is 7-3 on their last 10, which is really good by any stretch of the imagination. It's just been completely overshadowed by the Cavs, 15-game winning streak. Justin, let's do some journalistic integrity here, just because I feel obligated that we have to. In your opinion, what from now until, like, let's say game 5 of the first round of the playoff series, what can derail this team?
It's tough because, again, I think you always have to get past regular season success. I think that's always been something that, we've always, with guys developing, I think has been one of those things where it's like, in the past, you had to rely on Isaac Okoro in the playoffs. You had to rely on guys like Karis LeVert in the playoffs. You had to rely on guys like George Niang in the past. And so I guess for me, like, you get Ty Jerome, you have DeAndre Hunter, Strus is, back in the lineup again, healthy. Dean Wade is very serviceable on defense, and as a rotational big. And so I guess my problem is going to be like, if a guy like Darius Garland, and he's my guy, but I think he's the one who could derail it as a singular player. We've seen him turn the ball over tons in the playoff. We've seen him just kind of not be able to knock down shots in the playoffs before. And consistently, we've had to have Donovan Mitchell carry us in the points category while everyone else kind of just struggles along. But again, like I talked about with the regular season, you hope some things carry over, like the fact that if Darius Garland's going to kind of disappear for a series, 2 series, maybe that's going to be okay because in the 3rd series, he's going to come to life and Donovan Mitchell comes back down to earth. Ty Jerome comes back down to earth. It's very possible to have a guy like Ty where he comes in and he fills in that Darius Garland, shooter role, and he's the one dropping 20-plus points. Where we've seen that from Karis LeVert, I don't think it would be nearly as effective as what Ty has shown he's capable of. So I think, in all fairness to this team, I think it would have to be like a singular player meltdown from Donovan to Darius, because I think more often than not, if one of your guards is having a malfunction, the rest of the team's not going to be able to get the ball. So.
Okay.
I mean,
ball
that was
handlers.
a phenomenal point, by the way.
I
It truly
love that.
was, because I would say the best teams in the NBA, and I will always, people are probably like, okay, stop talking about LeBron teams. Like, have you got, how old are you guys? All that crap. But when it comes to those LeBron teams, the second stint, who were they relying on the bench? Matthew Dellavedova for 6 points, Channing Frye for maybe 8 points, Shumpert for, God, can you give us double digits? Like, I would say back in those days, we always called J.R. Smith the X factor, right? If we get a good J.R., there's not many better shooters in the NBA than a good J.R. Or Kevin Love might have been an X factor. I feel like last year I said my X factor was like Karis LeVert.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, Darius, who was struggling last season, or a guy like George. Like, why are we saying those names? Why are those the names we're talking about? The good teams in the playoffs, if their best players show up, they see results. A guy like DeAndre Hunter, a guy like Ty Jerome are 2 players we did not see in our roster last year. I can confidently say, okay, we're all right on the bench. Our stars show up, we'll probably win the ball game. That's kind of where I'm at with this team right now. And that was really well explained by Justin. I really do think that it's like we shouldn't have to rely on our role players. Now, I would even say you look at Golden State. We always compare ourselves to our friends in Golden State because a similar rise like they've had. I would definitely, all the parallels are there with this Cavaliers team. But they called it strength in numbers, right? Like, okay, Sean Livingston, Maurice Spates, like sure, Andre Iguodala. Like, they had some names, but I wouldn't say these guys were exploding and going crazy off their bench. They were just so strong and so put together and played as a unit. The starting 5 and the first 5 off the bench. Like, it's not about points or numbers. It's about feel, vibe, flow of the game. And everybody 1 through 15 on this team definitely contributes to that in a good way for the Cavs.
I think my main concern, and it's not a relatively large one, but I would say it's the largest one for me, is somewhat what you were talking about earlier, Logan, when we were looking at the standings. And this is nothing to take away from Kenny Atkinson and the job that he's done this year, because he is going to be NBA Coach of the Year, rightfully so. My concern is a series against in a series against Boston, or lesser to an extent, but a series against Miami, where Kenny is not the clear-cut better head coach, in my opinion, in a playoff setting. And I think those are the only 2 coaches in the conference where it's even a question.
Sure.
Spoelstra and Mazzulla slowing down the pace of a game where it's 90% of the offensive sets are half court, no fast break, no frantic pace, no pulling up from 3, on a turnover, stuff like that, where I think we do a really, really good job at. I think we're a serviceable team in the half court, and I think that Kenny knows what he's doing in that regard. I'm not saying it's going to be all totally lost on us, but if you get into a slugfest where it's like, Tatum's hitting shots for them, Brown's hitting shots for them, Mitchell's hitting shots for us. Mobley's hitting shots for us. That is where I'll be really interested to see how this team operates and how this team responds. But right now, I don't. We're nearly unstoppable right now. Like I tweeted out the other day. You got to be up 25 points against us, I think, right now to feel comfortable
in the second half.
Literally,
if Boston is hitting their triples, I don't think any team in the NBA beats them. That's my genuine prediction.
They're second level guys. Yes. Pritchard,
Derek White is going to be the Celtic that pisses me off if the Cavaliers are fortunate enough to see Boston in these playoffs. And they damn well better. They damn well better. But I'm just saying, if we're fortunate enough to see these Celtics, it's not going to be Tatum that pisses me off or Brown. Maybe a little bit of Porzingis. It's definitely guys like Derek White, guys like Peyton Pritchard, absolutely guys like Al Horford, who has seen us what seems like 50 times in the NBA playoffs going back to his Hawks days. Like those are the guys that are, and I would say this, we just talked about like our depth and stuff. In a series against Boston, that is when the depth will be so very important to show up and play because they have guys that can go for 10 to 15 points off the bench any given night. Or in their starting five, but not one of their stars per se.
Yep.
That will be a series where who is the better team, and who is better coach that puts that team into position to win. That you're absolutely right about that, Jeffrey.
Good, nice little healthy exercise there. On to another one. Record check. Logan at the top, 54-11 still.
It's a tight race.
I am right behind him at 53-12, and then Justin.
Why did I bet against the Cavs?
Right behind me at 52-13. You guys let me do it. You guys let me get a game up here now. So now I have to start picking my spots. So Justin has to start picking his spots. Logan, no, I'm not going. No, I'm not going.
You have to go first. You got all of them right.
I'm not going first.
I'm pretty sure I have to go first.
Does he have to go first?
Still the leader. I think that's how it works.
Let's just do it because this is the game I think that matters. To me,
toughie.
If I'll go first in other aspects, but if Logan wants to go first here, I'm intrigued as to what he's going to say because these are not, we're on a 15-game win streak. It's not like we're playing bums. Like this is another tough stretch of games. Like you have a road game against Memphis. You come home for one game against Orlando, which is, I'm curious about the Orlando game too. And then you're on a 2-game mini, West Coast swing almost.
How ill is DeAndre Hunter?
I don't know.
Do you guys think Donovan Mitchell is going to play?
I do.
Then give me the Cavs.
I'm assuming everyone is. Well, I don't know about Hunter, but don't you think everyone's going to be ready for this game?
Maybe. That's tough to tell. I'm going to go Cavs. I was really tempted to take Grizzlies, but
you're up, Jeff.
Here's your chance to tie, Jeffrey, or go down 2.
I got to do it.
So much for Mr. I'm gonna wait until the fucking rails fall off.
I'm gonna tell. This? So, but I can't. But I have to think.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Here's the thing, though. I did say that. It's true. That might be a little hypocritical, but history rhymes, and we lost at 16 to start the year.
You're an actual fraud.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is
the only reason I'm upset with you about this is because I'm
correct, but I do know that, but they're the 2 seed. I mean, they're good, and they're
on a 4-game winning streak.
They're good, but to be honest with you,
4, that's cute. Try 15.
I'm going Cavs the rest of the way. Even though I think this Clippers game is, if there is, Cavs don't really have trap games, but I think this Clippers game is kind of a trap game. But
a trap game.
I was either going Cavs, Clippers, Cavs, or Grizzlies, Cavs, and I just wanted to see what Logan said, just so I could.
I might need to go to that Clippers game.
I'm going Grizzlies here.
Oh my gosh! All right.
I'll get back to you.
It's tough at the top. I said last week if I take the Cavs the rest of the season, I'll probably beat you guys. So give me the Cavs all 4 games. And I also, similarly to Jeff, that is what I also truly believe. I do think we'll win all 4 of these games.
I think we'll win the last 3 of these. I do think we'll lose.
Me too. I think 15's like you're kind of capped out. Like we haven't. Justin's been saying it.
Guys are missing.
We haven't really been playing like our 100% ball, and we're still winning, and that's what makes it so impressive. But it's like if you go down 18 to Memphis in the third quarter, I kind of don't see us winning.
Yeah, and you also had a very close game against the Nets. So like you're due.
So the Cavs win all 4 of these, and I put Jeffrey in a 2-game hole and Justin in a 3-game hole.
We're cooked.
Yeah.
No, we're still not. I mean, still not cooked. I mean, there's still 13 games to predict after this. It's honestly, these games don't really, this is kind of just seeing how close you could get because the rest games are going to be.
Thank me for last week for going ahead of Logan when I shouldn't have.
The rest games are going to be the troll games to predict. Because it's like, who's going to be here? The Mitchell, rest, you know. Justin, even though I still think we win a lot of those games.
I'm just noticing that awesome hoodie.
Oh, yeah, right.
Love that. All right, final thoughts, Justin?
If we do get a series with Boston, I think my biggest thing with that is we've got to get good officiating crews because I cannot stand. You guys said that you won't be bothered by Tatum and Brown. I'm absolutely going to be bothered when they're constantly like constantly in the ref's face because that's what they're good for. But other than that, just keep rolling. I'd be glad to be wrong about tomorrow, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
Or about the Grizzlies game, I mean.
Logan?
If I see notification that says Kenny Atkinson resting all 5 starters tonight against the blank, I'm totally cool with that. And I would actually encourage that. This season, it matters too much. This team has earned everything they've gotten this year. They've shut me up. They've shut Justin up. They've shut Jeffrey up on a lot of aspects, and we have to eat krill on that. But tastiest bowl of krill I've ever had. This is really fun to watch, and the last thing you can do right now is push these guys too far where their bodies can't take it. So for me, it is health, and nothing more. If I don't see whatever Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland play another game in this regular season, that's fine. And I know that's obviously not going to happen. I'm just talking out loud here. But that is priority number 1. I could care less about wins and losses at this point. I do think these Cavaliers, at the end of the day, are going to hold home court advantage to the playoffs. And I don't even think that's a crazy prediction. Probably definitely a jinx. But if you live in your own head in the sports world, it's fun, but it's also terrifying. You can't fear that unknown, and you can't be fearing jinxes. Jinxes don't actually exist when you talk out loud, but it's time for this Cavalier team, to really just gear up for the playoffs. Everything beyond this in regular season does not matter, but it is really fun to watch them win every freaking game. So let's just keep doing that.
I agree with everything that's been said, really. Stay healthy, stay consistent, stay philosophically sound. No reason to switch anything up at this point. I mean, season's coming to winding down here. I will say, I know it's a forgotten thing in the NBA, but congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the fan base alike for winning the Central Division for the first time since 2017, 2018. So I know people don't really care about that, but it's fun. Nice little milestone and accolade. We're losing accolades in the NBA, so we need to amplify it as much as possible. But if you made it this long, like button, comment down below. Do that little exercise in your head if you're watching out there. What derails this Cavs team? And if your answer is nothing at all, I totally hear you. There's an argument to be made there. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate you being the pulse of it all. Peace.